Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Today, Poland marked the gruesome 80th anniversary of the Soviet Union invading Poland from the east at the beginning of the Second World War and mourned the victims of the violation of the Polish-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, which was then in effect. A knife in the back is how the treacherous attack by Soviet Russia on the Polish Second Republic on the 17th of September 1939 is known in Poland. The Soviet aggression sealed the fate of Poland, whose troops were still continuing to resist the German invaders in the west.
President Andrzej Duda took part in the ceremonies in front of the building of the former Soviet War Tribunal and Soviet Secret Service, the NKVD, in Warsaw's Praga district, where he laid flowers in front of a plaque commemorating the Polish victims of NKVD from 1944-1945. In his speech, the president spoke about the tragic consequences for Poland of the secret Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which not only deprived our country of independence, but also caused mass suffering to the population, mass deportations deep into Russia and the Katyn massacre.
To tragiczne wydarzenie dopełniło.
This tragic event completed this process, which began on September 1st, 1939. These 80 years ago, there was the so-called Fourth Partition of Poland. Nazi Germany, on the basis of a secret protocol to the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, along with Soviet Russia, invaded Poland, and Poland was torn apart by these two totalitarian powers. Hundreds of thousands, millions of Poles have been injured and murdered.
Polska została rozdarta przez te dwa totalitarne mocarstwa.
On the occasion of the anniversary of hostile aggression against Poland, the opening of Jerzy Kalina's photo installation entitled Barrier opened in the courtyard of the Royal Castle in Warsaw. The creator of the work used a propaganda photo in his installation, showing the dismantling of the Polish border barrier by Wehrmacht soldiers to create its mirror image of which he placed Soviet soldiers.
Nie przypadkiem to właśnie Jerzy Kalina zaproponował.
It is no accident that Jerzy Kalina proposed a work dedicated to this special moment in our recent history, which is the 80th anniversary of September 17th, 1939. He is an artist who has spoken many times about Polish and European history through works undertaken in public spaces.
Polskiej i europejskiej historii poprzez dzieła realizowane w przestrzeni publicznej.
As Jerzy Kalina said, the photograph, which was originally staged by the Germans for propaganda purposes, over time came to symbolize the truth.
To zdjęcie jest w obiegu świata.
This photo is in circulation around the world. It is a photo that many people remember, a photo which is a sign, a symbol of violence, violation of someone else's territory, violation of the family, personal violation. This is the first image of a historical situation in which these countries play the same role. This is a mirror image of those on the left and on the right.
Odbicie tych z lewych po prawej stronie.
On September 17, 1939, the Red Army crossed the borders of the Second Polish Republic without declaring war, sealing the fate of Poland fighting with Germany in accordance with a secret annex to the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. That day, terror and mass persecution of the Polish population started, which led to the nationalization of the Polish eastern lands, lands that never returned to Poland.
Poland did what was right. The words of the then Polish president, Lech Kaczynski, in 2009, on the 7th anniversary of the Soviet Russia's attack on Poland in 1939. Those words are still relevant today as we present the late president's speech 10 years to the day, 17th of September.
Tego dnia, około 2:00 w nocy,
On this day, on September 17th, more than 600,000 Soviet soldiers invaded the Republic of Poland. It was an act of aggression, not a march of liberation. At 3 a.m., the Polish ambassador was called to the Soviet Ministry of Foreign Affairs to be notified that the Polish state was no longer in existence and that the government had run away. The Polish government was still operating in the country at the time. It was nothing short of an act of aggression, an act of war. Poland became the victim of two aggressors. Poland has no reason for a lesson on humility. Poland did what was right. There are others who should have not one, but several lessons on humility.
do najzwyklejszego aktu agresji.
Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki visited Lithuania today. The head of the Polish government spoke to the Prime Minister of Lithuania, Saulius Skvernelis, about bilateral cooperation on security and energy policy.
Bilateral relations, security policies, as well as the challenges concerning the institutions of the EU during its new parliamentary term. These were the topics of talks between Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, who met the head of the Lithuanian government in Vilnius. My main priority of our foreign policy is a close relationship with Poland. This covers many bases, including regional territorial defense. I particularly appreciate Poland's contribution to the security of our region. I would like to mention the fact that Polish soldiers led the NATO mission in our region for the 8th consecutive time.
Lenkijos kariai tarnauja NATO pajėgų integracijos padalinė Lietuvoje.
Poruszyliśmy bardzo wiele strategicznych tematów, które
We spoke about many strategic topics which connect Poland and Lithuania, topics which keep us moving in the same direction. This direction is very pro-European, as well as aiming at bolstering the security of the region. We are speaking about this because of the various situations that are happening around us, such as the war in Ukraine and other threats to our common security. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki ended his visit to Lithuania by laying flowers at the Rasos cemetery, where many Polish soldiers from World War II lie.
The Supreme Court of the United Kingdom is to decide whether Prime Minister Boris Johnson lied to the Queen Elizabeth II when requesting the prorogation of Parliament. The judges are also expected to rule whether the prorogation of Parliament is in line with the British Constitution.
The Supreme Court in London has two appeals to examine. One is the verdict of the Court of England, which decided that the government had acted lawfully in asking the Queen to prorogue the British Parliament. The second is the verdict of the Scottish Court, which ruled that the Prime Minister had acted illegally. The court will answer two key questions. First of all, may the judges decide on the prorogation of Parliament, or is it a case lying wholly within the political sphere? Secondly, assuming that the answer to the first question is affirmative, was the Edinburgh Court correct in saying that Boris Johnson broke the law by requesting the Queen to prorogue Parliament? The Scottish Government unanimously stated that the Prime Minister misled the Queen, adding that Boris Johnson lied to her in order to obtain the prorogation of Parliament.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.
Hello, and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Tonight the forecast calls for rain in most of the regions of the country. Only Szczecin and Poznań will see partly cloudy skies. It will be very windy tonight, with the wind reaching up to 100 kilometers an hour. We do advise to exercise caution, especially while driving. The temperature should vary tonight from 6 degrees to 9 degrees centigrade. Tomorrow, the weather will take a turn for the better. The northern regions will still see rain, but the rest of the country can expect partly cloudy skies. The temperatures should vary from 12 degrees to 15 degrees. In the next 3 days, we should see a gradual change in the weather. On Thursday, we can expect to see rain in the southern, central, and northeast regions of the country. By Friday, the sky should clear up, and the temperatures will rise, reaching a high of 19 degrees in the southwest by Saturday. That is all for now. I invite you to stay with us and to join us later on for Poland Daily Business.
Poland Daily Business Edition. A new European Commission is being formed right now. We have a Polish member, Professor Janusz Wojciechowski, farmer, judge and politician of law and justice. The question is whether he will be confirmed and what are his chances. I'm asking Dr. Artur Wróblewski of Lazarski University. What do you think about it?
I think that his chances are 100% that he will be voted and accepted by Ursula von der Leyen and the European Commission as part of this governing body, a kind of
But we also have
government.
European Parliament who has to confirm.
And the European Parliament has to confirm. However, we should ask the question why he is not a good candidate for this portfolio of agriculture. Poland is one of the most important players in this segment. This is very important portfolio and we have a very shrewd and experienced person. Let's remember that he was standing as the head in the past, as the head of a Polish Workers' Party, PSL. So he has the requisite experience, know-how, knowledge how to deal with important challenges, especially now regarding the agriculture.
For a long time member of European Parliament, for a long time present in the important commissions. So this is a person who definitely knows how to work on behalf of whole Europe, I would say, but also he is a member of the Law and Justice Party, and we see that the European Parliament tends to vote out members of the, as they call it, rightist parties out of the important offices. We saw it with the nomination of Beata Szydło, the person who gathered 500,000 votes. She couldn't get the chairmanship of the Commission of the Social Security.
But let's remember that that vote regarding former Prime Minister Beata Szydło was a kind of symbolic vote because she was a Prime Minister of Poland, so it was important, prestigious voting, and some people wanted to be malicious in this case. In case of Mr. Wojciechowski, the situation is different because he was a low-profile member of Law and Justice, hard-working member of EU Parliament and a member of the Commission on Agriculture in the European Parliament. So he has all the requisite talents and competences, skills to be in such position. Besides, let's remember that Ursula von der Leyen is to some extent a hostage to Poland because she would never have realized her European dream if it were not for Poland, which helped Ursula von der Leyen to become the head of the European Commission, and Polish Prime Minister took part in this process of nominating and choosing this lady. So I think there is a deal under the table which will allow to push a candidacy of Mr. Wojciechowski through.
How important is the agriculture chair in the European Commission?
I would say that this is one of 3-4 most important Commission positions. Why? Because more than 1/3 of the budget of the European Union goes into Common Agricultural Policy, CAP. And we know that now this budget will be reduced by 1% and 25% regarding money which will go individually to farmers as a single payer or single payment regarding the area they possess and work on in the countryside, but also there will be less money on the development of rural areas. So situation is more difficult because generally there will be more money on cohesion fund and so on. So I think that Poland has a right to have this privilege because this is very important for Poland, remembering that actually in Poland we have the most number of people working on the farm after Greece. Also, France is very important in this regard. So I think this is quite natural that we will get this portfolio, and Mr. Wojciechowski, I'm sure he will secure that we will have get more money, for example, as a payment to individual farmers.
You're a political analyst, but how do you think the large number of small farmers in Poland was for years or for decades considered a backdrop, something that is a problem for our agriculture because they are less productive, they cannot produce huge quantity of the product, they cannot contract their production to the big companies, so they needed some middlemen to working towards that. On the other hand, we have this new wave of ecological farming when it's naturally much more extensive, it needs much more labor work in order to produce high quality food. And do you see the large number of small farmers in Poland as a disadvantage to our farming industry or quite the opposite?
I believe deeply that this small farming in Poland is an asset for Poland, especially now when we have a kind of trend, global trend, to go for smaller farming, but organic farming, environmentally friendly farming. Besides that, we have also the problem of food security, which is hanging over us in the future. We have more and more people on the earth, and we have now a climate change, as some people say, or global warming, whatever. However, conditions are becoming hostile to farming in many places on the globe, like India, for example, big parts of Africa, or other areas. So I think that this importance of small farming, environmentally friendly, organic, as you said, ecological, will grow in importance, will become even more critical. And Poland can use it as an asset and to some extent guarantee food security to the whole European Union in the future.
So that's a very important position, agriculture chair in European Commission.
Very
that will
important
go to
indeed.
Janusz Wojciechowski, farmer by himself, or son of farmers, judge, and very interesting person. One more comment. This is a very modest person. I spoke several times to this politician, and I didn't find a pint of some personality that is very heavy.
He's
very
a very nice
person,
guy and also honest guy.
which is rare in politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Artur Wróblewski, an honest and
sympathetic
guy himself of Lazarski University was our guest tonight. And that was it for Poland Daily Business.
Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily Business Weather. The forecast for tomorrow calls for showers in the north, in the cities of Koszalin, Gdańsk, Olsztyn and Białystok, where the temperature will vary from 12 degrees to 15 degrees centigrade. The rest of the country can expect to see partly cloudy skies and a temperature of 13 degrees in the south to 15 degrees in the central regions of Poland. In Europe, on Wednesday, we can expect to see rain in the Far East, in Moscow, Vilnius, Minsk and Kiev, and a temperature of 13 degrees. Paris, London, Madrid, Vienna, Athens, Ankara, and Bratislava will see clear skies and a temperature varying from 17 to 31 degrees centigrade. The rest of the continent can expect to see partly cloudy skies with the lowest temperature of 11 degrees in Helsinki and the highest of 29 in Rome. That is all for tonight. I thank you for joining us and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and this is Poland Daily Culture. Our guest for today is Aleksandra Gintrowska, singer, actress, and also a very beautiful woman. Ola, thank you for being with us.
Hi, and thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
You played in few TV series, in the famous M like Miłość, so M like love, or it should be L like love, probably.
Yeah.
And so, what is your role there? Who do you play there?
Well, actually, that wasn't a big role. I was playing a journalist, a French journalist, one of the main actresses. And there was some, I would say, a small fling between me and also one of the main actors who was playing a policeman. But it never ended. So actually, I don't know what happened with my character in this series. So maybe I'll be back. Who knows?
Fingers crossed for
yeah.
you. The other was First Love and Diagnosis. Diagnoza in Polish.
Yeah. So that was in this series. In every episode, there is a different story. So I was in one episode. Playing a girl after a car crash. And it was actually a sad story because it was my fault that my boyfriend died in the car crash. I was also there, but I told him to go this way instead of the different one, and we had a car crash with a train.
It's tragic. So you murdered your boyfriend.
Not intentionally, but yes, it was my fault, and it was really tragic, and the whole story. Yeah, a lot of hospital, like acting, I would say. I was on a bed in the hospital, and we were, yeah. And
how different is playing in TV series and playing in normal movies, full-time movies?
Well, there's not much of a difference because the camera and the set it's kind of similar. Instead of in TV series, everything is recorded faster. Like you don't have that many takes, whereas in the movie they want to make it so perfect, you know, and everything on point. So sometimes you have loads of takes, you know, scenes that you have to repeat.
And TV series are just much more natural, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that in TV series, the episodes, there's so many of them. And when it comes to scripts, you don't need to say lines like perfectly what's written in the script. You can also sometimes, you know, talk in your own language, as long as you know the meaning of the script is, you know,
maintained and kept.
Yeah.
You also took part in a few entertainment shows, such as Twoja twarz brzmi znajomo, so your face sounds familiar, which sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
But the idea of the thing is that you got different artists, Polish or international ones.
That's true.
And you have to perform or mimic those artists as closely as possible.
That's true. Well, it was a really hard work because we've been training every day for many hours, you know, with singing teachers, with dancing choreographers, you know, to repeat the choreography. Very often we were choosing, like we were given a song in the lottery, I would say, and then it was decided either we choose the like live performance or the video song, you know. And then you have to repeat the whole choreography with the moves on point and the face mimic. But very often when we were changed into this character, we had the whole face changed. So it was really hard, you know, to move some of the fake, you know, attachments on your face. But it was really great experience. And when it comes to singing as close to the person that we were given, that was the most, you know, difficult thing, because sometimes you have the similar tone, but in some points of the song, you completely lose it. So when I was a male performer, there were points where actually I was able to sound similar, but then when the guy was singing, you know, higher, I was coming back to my normal voice because it was hard for me to sing as a guy on, you know, higher tones.
Who was your character?
So I was Rick Astley, and also that was a funny performance. I was there was this band from Norway, I think, Ylvis, and they are comedians and they do a lot of funny songs, and one of them was "What Does the Fox Say?"
Sure, what does it mean?
Yes, and the song is really funny, but there is like the guy is singing, you know, with his normal voice during the verses, and then on the hooks, the chorus, he is singing ridiculous things like like this, and then how come I'm able to, you know, to sound like the guy doing the really squeaky, you know, sounds? So that was really, really difficult. And then he was doing a lot of choreography at the same time. So and I was, you know, I had a like whole face changed with a mask, the wig, and then male outfit, and on top of that I had a fairy costume. So
Sounds impossible.
Yeah, but it was really funny. And actually, I've learned that before the program, I used to say that I'm not really a dancer. But then usually I was given the songs where I had a huge choreography. And then with every next episode, I got to learn that I'm able to dance. But it all requires, training. So as much as I was training even more, then my dancing was getting better, and it was easier for me to dance and sing, because usually I thought it's really almost impossible, to be a good dancer and good singer at the same time. But with training, a lot of training, it's actually possible.
Who are your teachers? I mean, it's such a huge undertaking. So did you have any groups of support from the organizers?
Yeah, during the program we had teachers who were given us. We had 3 vocal teachers, the great ladies, and they showed us the right directions, and they were training with us a lot. But then we also had to do a lot of work back home, working on the songs. And when it comes to choreography, there was a main choreographer, but he had some people who were, also helping us when we needed help.
Another TV entertainment show which you took part in was All Together Now, which is based on the BBC format, actually. Yeah. So what was it?
Well, it was a huge wall of 100 people in jury. I was one of them. So this time I was on the other side, not performing, but judging. And it was made in a really entertaining and funny way, because we were told that we shouldn't judge, to be bad judges, because people who are coming to the show, they weren't professionally trained in singing. They were people who just learned singing by themselves. And the program idea was just to have fun and sing a lot, because when we liked the song that was performed by the person, we just had to push the button, stand up and sing with the person. And if we liked the song, we had to stand up. And the person who gained the most, standing jury was winning the show.
So whenever you felt pity about someone, you could just stand up, join them, and they were winning.
Yes, exactly. I was actually standing a lot up. So I was just, putting on having fun and just singing with the people.
Are such entertainment shows needed? How do you feel taking part in them?
I really like them, and I feel like we, as a nation, we need, happy moments, because we've been through a lot when it comes to our history, and in our minds there's still a lot of sadness, and I feel like the programs like that give us moments of enjoyment and happiness, and we need moments like that.
So to our audience of Poland Daily, we wish you also a lot of moments on happiness, and thank you for watching Poland Daily Culture.
Few countries in the modern era have been shaped by or subject to the horrors of war as much as Poland. From its emergence after the First World War in 1918 until 20 years later, it found itself again subject to occupation. The army has played a key role in Poland's history and development. In this series of films, we look at that time, the emergence of a new army in 1918, its first major conflict in the Polish-Soviet War, its attempts during the 1930s to maintain development faced with a European-wide arms race, and the struggle of the Second World War. This is a story of how the Polish army and the Navy and the Air Force responded to that challenge. On the 1st of September 1939, what we now know as the Second World War began, with the first shots being fired for Poland, at least in the Westerplatte. I was wondering if you could say a few words about Polish strategy in the immediate period following the outbreak of war, how the troops were placed, what the thinking was of the generals as to how to defend against the Wehrmacht?
Przygotowania polskie do obrony zaczęły się już w marcu 1939 roku i polski naczelny wódz opracował plan, który...
Polish preparations for defense began in March of 1939. The Polish commander-in-chief developed a plan that envisioned defense along the borders. This was because the basic goal was for our allies, France and Great Britain, to declare war on Germany in the event of aggression. Let us remember that it was not known that Hitler had communicated before the outbreak of the war with Stalin, and that Stalin would also attack us from the east. The Poles did not know that. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact of August 23, 1939 assumes a joint attack against Poland. The Poles prepared themselves for defense along the borders because the commander-in-chief, Marshal Edward Rydz-Śmigły, wanted our allies to fulfill their obligations. If such a situation were to arise that the Poles would defend themselves in the interior of the country, the events could develop in such a way that the Germans would occupy only some areas and then say that they aren't interested in more territory and want to make peace. To prevent this, we had to defend ourselves from the borders, which is why the Polish army was grouped along the borders, stretched for 1,400 kilometers. On the other hand, the Germans prepared large strike groups. The largest was in Lower Silesia, and from there it advanced towards Warsaw. Smaller groups were in Western Pomerania and East Prussia, from where they also attacked Poland. Poland was attacked from three directions: from the north, west and south. The Polish army that defended the country also had a difficult situation because the Germans had a large numerical advantage, especially in aviation and armored weapons. In addition, they also used blitzkrieg tactics, a brand new tactic which was used on a large scale, based on mechanized armored units advancing deep behind enemy lines with air support. Only Germany was specialized in the use of blitzkrieg, and Poland was the first victim of German aggression. Let us remember that other countries which had enormous military potential had no way of defending their own territory. Poland fought for over a month. The largest battle was the Battle of Bzura, a battle that was fought west of Warsaw, where the Poles attacked German troops, which overtook them on the march to Warsaw and the Vistula. Unfortunately, despite a promising start of the battle, the Poles were later beaten. Other battles worth mentioning include the Battle of Mława, where Polish troops managed to stop German attacks from East Prussia for the first days of the campaign, thanks to the fact that Poles had built bunkers there. Let us also remember that the Polish success of September 1st, 1939 was the Battle of Mokra, during which the German armored division fighting the Polish cavalry brigade suffered huge losses. They lost about 100 tanks in one day.
Poniosła znaczne straty, straciła około 100 czołgów w ciągu jednego dnia. Ważną walką w obronie Polski była obrona Warszawy, która toczyła się...
An important fight in the defense of Poland was the defense of Warsaw, which was fought in two fields. At first, the Germans attacked Warsaw by air raids. Later onwards, from September 8th, the Germans came to Warsaw. Within a few days, the city was surrounded. The Germans tried to storm Warsaw and had to fight until Warsaw capitulated on September 28th, 1939. The last battle of the September campaign was the Battle of Kotsk, fought by troops that withdrew from eastern Polesia by the Polesia Operational Group of General Kleberg, which withdrew from the Red Army attacking from the east, but a corridor was created between the German and Soviet troops, and General Kleberg's soldiers marched west and fought the last Battle of Kotsk near the campaign, which ended on October 5th, 1939.
5 października 1939 roku.
So as the war progressed, the Polish army had a plan to withdraw towards Romania to take advantage of more natural borders. I mean, one of the problems being that there are, in Poland, not very many natural borders. And I was wondering if you could say a few words about how that plan was affected by the subsequent Soviet invasion of Poland.
Polacy, dowództwo polskie po początkowym okresie
At the
kampanii.
beginning of the campaign, when the Germans broke our front, the Poles decided to gradually withdraw the army to the southeast, towards the border with Romania, which was friendly to us. They were our ally. A long-term defense was planned there until the Western Allies could mount an attack on the Western Front, which meant that Germany would have to withdraw its forces from Poland to be able to defend itself on the Western Front. This did not happen for several reasons. First of all, on September 12, the Western Allies and the Abbeville Council decided that they would not realistically help the Polish ally, despite the fact that most of the German forces were involved here, and on the Western Front the Germans had very weak forces. So if the French would attack, the Germans would have to withdraw substantial forces from Poland. This did not happen. Let us also remember that on September 17th, Poland was attacked from the east. Stalin fulfilled the commitments of August 23rd of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact and attacked Poland. This led to the fact that Polish troops, which were preparing on the outskirts of Warsaw to defend against Germany, had to fight a new opponent now, but also had to, as was the directive of the Commander-in-Chief, withdraw as much strength as possible to Romania and Hungary, with no real opposition to both aggressors. General Śmigły-Rydz wanted the greatest possible number of soldiers to get out of Poland, than to fight against Germany alongside their Western allies.
Później u boku sojuszników podjęło walkę właśnie z Niemcami.
The outbreak of the war, of course, in Poland was the bombarding of the Westerplatte positions by the German ship Schleswig-Holstein, and remarkably the Polish armed forces held out against this tremendous bombardment for far longer than was expected. I was wondering if you could say a few words about their strategy and how they managed to withstand this bombardment for so long.
Westerplatte, musimy najpierw powiedzieć, co to było. Westerplatte to jest półwysep w Gdańsku. Gdańsk był wtedy wolnym miastem.
Let's first explain what Westerplatte was. Westerplatte was a peninsula in Gdańsk. At that time, Gdańsk was a free city that did not belong to Poland nor Germany. By decision of the Western powers and the Treaty of Versailles, a Polish military transit depot was established there, which was to serve, when Poland did not yet have its own port to be able to transport armaments, transport equipment that the army needed, and this depot operated in Gdańsk, in a free city. Poles were attacked there on September 1st. The depot was very well prepared for defense. Modern barracks and bunkers were built there, which were hidden and masked from the Germans. The Polish crew, which had less than 200 soldiers, defended themselves for 7 days. This is because the Germans did not quite know who they were dealing with. They fired from a battleship, but most of the shells were ineffective because it was too close to the target and they flew over the Poles. The Polish soldiers defended their position for 7 days. This was despite the fact that, according to their own calculations, they wouldn't have to last longer than 6 to 12 hours, and after that time relief will come from Pomerania. But this did not happen. It was a calculated scenario only in case of an attack on Westerplatte and an attack on Gdańsk, not an attack on the entire border. It was known that Polish troops that were grouped along the border to defend against Germany would not come to the help of Westerplatte, because it was impossible to direct additional forces and fight for these 200 soldiers. However, it became a symbol of Poland's defense during the September campaign.
O tych 200 żołnierzy stało się to jednak symbolem obrony Polski we wrześniu.
When we look at the last few days or the last phase of the initial German invasion, and it became clear that the country was going to be occupied for some time, was the army able to prepare for occupation by hiding equipment, burying it under houses, hiding it in forests, leaving something behind for a resistance movement to grow up?
Żołnierze byli uczeni, że nie wolno oddawać broni wrogowi. Zdarzało się tak, że kiedy
Soldiers were taught that it is not allowed to give a weapon to an enemy. It happened that when the conditions were favorable, when, for example, Polish troops were about to surrender and negotiations were being held, the soldiers hid a large part of their weapons so that their opponents would not obtain a good weapon. In the museum we have a collection of many of the Polish army weapons that were found several decades after they were hidden by soldiers. Even in Warsaw there are many kinds of weapons from 1939, which were intentionally hidden so that they would not fall into the hands of the invaders, so that they could not use them against Poles, but also so that Poles could continue their fight, that in some time the situation might change, and they would be able to uncover these weapons and fight the invaders. The weapons were usually given to someone for storage or deliberately hidden in various places. Later, these weapons served, for example, the Home Army or other underground military organizations.
Później ta broń często służyła żołnierzom Armii Krajowej czy innych organizacji podziemnych.
In these programs we've seen how Poland, from its emergence in 1918, after 123 years of partition, has, as a state, had to fight for its place in Europe. The army and the other services have constantly grappled with the need for new technology against an ever-changing European political and military background. This fight for technology is one thing, but in Poland there was also a fight, a real fight, against real enemies. And despite their material defects of never quite being ready, of never quite having enough equipment, the Polish military spirit was undimmed. This was clearest of all in the Second World War, when Poland contributed to two particular events, the battle at Monte Cassino and the contribution to the Battle of Britain. Those just two out of every major theatre in which the Polish army took part. This has been a fascinating story of an undimmed military spirit fighting against all the odds. A great story. I'm Nicholas Richardson, and join me again on Poland Daily History when we delve into some more exciting aspects of Poland's history.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. Today we head west. Our destination is the palace and grounds at Radziowice. Situated about 40 kilometers west of Warsaw, the palace complex is a haven for artists and a welcome spot to retire to the countryside for travelers. It's a complex of classical residences surrounded by a park. And it's been a cultural center since 1965. The Radziowice family first built the castle in the 1500s. During the palace's heyday, it was a residence to various kings of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. During the 17 and 1800s, the Kraszyński family gave the complex its present look. And currently, the castle and the complex are visited by writers, columnists, actors, filmmakers, musicians, and visual artists. So come along and let's take a look at the Radziowice Castle, Palace, and grounds. The weather's perfect. Let's go for a walk. And watch Poland Daily Travel. We're glad to be here for you.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Travel. We're here at the beautiful palace in Radziowice.
Exactly.
Radziowice. And Arthur's very hungry because he's been waiting a whole day to eat this soup. I wouldn't let him touch it. We've been sitting here for 24 hours.
That's correct.
And waiting. That's correct. That's correct. Really?
Only if you saw my eyes from behind the glasses.
Yeah, you would see that it's not so correct. At any rate, we're now going to try our soup. What do you got?
Kapuśniak.
Kapuśniak.
Which
What's
is
that
like
name?
cabbage soup.
Kapusisz?
Like kapusta, cabbage,
Kapusta. Kapusta is the Polish word for cabbage.
Yes.
And that is made from cabbage.
And I have some potatoes in here, and I
looks
can
good.
see it's pretty thick.
Okay.
And there are some green things in here, maybe some carrot as well. Looks nice.
Cabbage is in everything in Poland, isn't it?
Yes.
It's omnipresent, we could
Yes.
say. It's everywhere.
This is what our bones are made of, cabbage.
Your bones are made of cabbage? Is that a
Yes.
Polish saying?
No,
Or
but
it's
I
an
just-
Arthur saying.
I just made it, but that's. I think that many of.
You better try it. Go ahead and try it.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You good? Is it good, really? You have to say that.
It's absolutely wonderful.
It's not stage soup. This is actual soup prepared in the kitchen.
No, but I mean it. It's really
Is it really?
a good soup.
Mine's cream of broccoli. Let me see. Looks like it's got some almonds on it as well. Very green.
Okay.
It's been very pureed.
And almondy. I will try to
And almondy, yeah.
put more cabbage on a spoon so you can see how thick it is.
It's quite salt. It really tastes the greenness. This would be good for our cameraman because he's a vegetarian. Our camera operator, our lighting director.
I
don't
know what I
to
have to do. Because otherwise,
Vova.
my shirt,
You can just throw it on yourself?
yes.
Yeah.
But only I do it with the last spoon.
You want to tuck it in
When the last spoon lands in my mouth, this is when half of it lands on my shirt.
But you tuck it in like this, don't you?
Yeah, so I will have to.
You want to tuck it in? Like that? Isn't that the proper? No, don't do that. You're not supposed to do that.
No, I mean, it would be better if it's in here, so okay, maybe I will move it a little bit further away. I will just try not to this time.
So how is it with all your travels? This is the first time you've been here.
That's amazing. I mean, it just, it was not popular because it was opened in late 1990s, so many people who take care of tourist business in Warsaw have never came in here when they were working as a guides, and now they are running their companies, and it's not in an offer. And you know what? I am going to put it in the offer. It will be in the offer. You will come to your hotel.
Yeah.
You will open a leaflet, and then it will be written. Oh, you can. It's just 30 minutes to go to Radziejowice and have this cabbage soup and sit right in here, and yeah.
In the garden of a palace.
That's going to happen.
In peace and quiet.
This is how it will be.
The last time I was here, it was very crowded. In November, there were a lot of people here. It wasn't like this. But I think they're planning for a wedding, aren't they? Didn't you say?
No, there are weddings. You can organize your wedding in this like.
Somebody's
wooden
planning one
cottage.
today, right? Is there a party here tomorrow?
So on Friday,
It's Friday. I think they're getting ready for tomorrow, for some reception, right? Is it good?
Kapuśniak is amazing.
Is it really good?
It's the best kapuśniak I have ever had.
Seriously?
Yes. And I have had a few.
Well, if you like cream of broccoli, this is good, but you've gone with the Polish traditional soup. So I reckon they probably got some lady who's the expert of the locality to make it, you know?
She is. And she should stay in here.
You want to bring her out here?
Mokin is catching.
We'll have to do it. Poland Daily, we're eating our soup. We're going to have a second course. He's having dorscht. I'm having beef cheeks, which is a local Polish delicacy.
Today they are beef.
Today they are beef. Okay, we'll see what that's like. Stay with us, and we'll be back after this very informative bumper. I don't think it's very informative, but a bumper nonetheless. Ta-ta. The second part of the show and the second course is coming.
Yes,
after that
exactly.
good soup. Okay? Bring it on, sir.
Thank you so much.
You're very kind.
What a beef cheeks.
Oh, wow.
Beans,
Bardzo dziękuję.
potatoes. Thank you very much. Dziękuję uprzejmie.
Wygląda bardzo
Beautiful.
smacznie. Dziękuję. So, here you go. With your knife and your fork.
Yes.
And here we go. All right, so what do we got here? I noticed first a cameraman. Come over here and get a picture of this food. A pickle. We've got a pickle salad there.
And it's onion.
That's really good. It's simple stuff, isn't it? The key to Polish food is the simplicity and the freshness, right? You agree with that?
Pickles and onion salad.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then we've got the, I don't know what this green stuff is.
So we have everything the same. We have puree,
Parsley.
we have beans, rucola salad.
Potato puree, the fresh beans. What are those called in Polish, those beans?
Fasola.
Yeah, Fasola. It's string beans, we call them in English. And then beef cheeks with a sauce here. I don't know what it is yet.
Horseradish.
Okay, what have you got?
Also beans, string beans, also pita, also rucola salad. And let's take a look at the cod. Soft, nice, good, popular fish.
This looks like a boiled beef, mine.
And yours are so soft.
Yeah, this is even softer than the last ones I had. Let's try it. Very tasty indeed. Yeah.
And the beans?
Good. What is this green stuff, though? Is that parsley or something? No, it's lettuce. It's rucola.
Isn't it rucola?
It's rucola, yeah. Of course it is. Very tasty. So, as I was saying, the key in Poland is just the freshness. It's simple food. Very straightforward, but prepared with fresh produce, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And these beans are right out of the garden, aren't they? I should be talking with my mouth full.
Look at this beautiful view. Can you imagine how Count Krasiński could feel in here?
Absolutely. He would feel good, I think, except when he was worried about either partition or the Germans coming, beginning of his life or the end.
Taking him to Dachau eventually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not something to think about while you're enjoying a good meal, but nonetheless the reality is there.
What a beautiful free Poland we can enjoy today.
Because of a guy like that. And a beautiful day, they might have had the same beautiful day in September 1939, right? The weather could have been just like this, but a totally different atmosphere. You can smell the freedom in the air today.
You can.
People complain too much, don't they? They forget. They don't read the past, so they don't know how much, well, they want to, people tend to think their time is always worse than a time before.
But on the other hand, people tend to say that they are living in the best possible times. For instance, ancient Roman Empire citizens were 100% sure that this is the best civilization, the best time that could ever be on planet Earth. Not even this would be available. Today we couldn't even imagine our life with not this.
Without a fork, yeah?
Yes, without a fork, let's say.
But, okay, the civilizing influence, but indoor plumbing is a huge thing. Romans
Sewer system.
Sewer system, indoor plumbing, aqueducts, roads. Pretty simple things. I always say you can tell how developed a country is, look at its roads.
Sunglasses.
Yeah, sunglasses to protect our retinas from the bright light, right? We live in a pretty comfortable time.
And still you appreciate this simplicity, cucumber and onions. Raw.
Exactly.
Tasty. And wonderful.
And we're having a good time. Well, I'm glad we decided to eat. Because we could have just gone on, we could have hit the road, but it's such a nice place.
Let's do some more episodes.
Let's do some more work here.
Yes.
Why go anywhere else? We were going to go to Łowicz, weren't we? Or someplace further afield.
Windless, cloudless.
I think we should stay right here and enjoy it. And I think that anyone else who was venturing here would have the same feeling.
That's our legacy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Poland Daily Travel. Stay with us for more from the palace here at Radziowicz. With me and Arthur. Thanks for watching.